This month I'm on my own again, so it's just going to be Holden's story time. Seeing as last week my sentence for a bird story came out and my plans for this podcast fell through, I figured I'd tell a story of the time I tried to save a bird. After that, I'm just going to give a little update and then do the outro. I've not got much else planned. Okay, so, the bird. So, my wife and I went out one night just to go to a fish and chip shop to get some chips. And we were just having a conversation walking down the street. I was walking in front of some random house's garden. They had like a fence around the front. And as I was going past, this thing just moved on top of the fence. I was like literally touching it with my shoulder. And it was just a massive crow, but it had a broken wing. So I spent a few minutes just sort of staring at it. You don't really get to see him that close most of the time anyway. But I was trying to like work out if I could do anything. I decided I probably couldn't. But I didn't want to just leave it there because it just feels kind of mean. But in the end we decided that we couldn't really do anything. So we ended up just carrying on to the shop. So we got to the shop and ordered some chips. And then I went to, there was like we call them corner shop. It's just like a small shop. It's like kind of similar to like what a bodega is. But yeah, so there was like a corner shop next door. So I went in and they were selling birdseed, but I only had my card on me and there was a minimum charge and I couldn't afford the birdseed because of it. So I ended up having a conversation with the guy behind the counter and tried to convince him to just give me some birdseed, but he just kept going on about how the bird was probably going to die, and I was like, thanks, I don't really want to have this conversation right now. So I ended up just leaving, and we collected the food and just decided to go home. So we took the same route home as we took there, and the bird was still there. So at this point, I'd be like, it had been there for like 20 minutes at this point, and I'm like, well, it's clearly not going anywhere. So I just felt kind of bad, and I was like, well, I'm going to try and do something. So I ended up sending my wife home on her own, and it's not far, it's like a 5-minute walk from the house, if that. So she ended up going home, and I spent about 20 minutes just like gently trying to coax this bird towards me, like trying to catch it, but I didn't want to like grab it because it's got a broken wing, so I didn't want to like just grab it and make it worse. I managed to like get one arm either side of it, and I was like trying to bring them close, and I was trying to like coax it to jump on my arm so I could carry it home. But I ended up jumping over me and like falling off the fence, and it just looked like it hurt itself. So I made sure it was okay, but at that point I was like, I'm not going to be able to do anything without hurting it at this point. But I still felt bad. So I ended up just stood there staring at it for a bit. And then some guy came down the road with a dog, and they were just like staring at me the entire time. And I'm like, I'm not trying to break in this guy's house. I just want to save this bird. But I figured at that point it was probably best to just leave it. Like, it was like 9 o'clock at night and I'm just stood outside some random person's house. It wasn't the best of looks. So I ended up just walking home. But as I was getting towards the end of the street, it turns out that some people were just moving into their house. And I ended up having a conversation with them. And they tried to get me some birdseed, but they couldn't. But this guy's wife was like, "Would you want me to help?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." So she ended up going in her house and getting a towel, and with the idea of like trying to catch it in this towel. So we started walking back to it, and I was saying that I'd seen a dead bird not long before this, like a couple of days before. And it's like, that's sad. But there's nothing you can do about that. Whereas this is like, it's a bird that's like alive and he's like hopping around, but he's just injured. And at that point I'm just like, I feel bad. There's like something I should do something. I should try and help it. And this other person agreed with me. So we ended up going back to this guy's house and she went around one side of it and like I went around the back, and we were like, I was like in front of this guy's house climbing on his fences, and she was like climbing over the fence from the front, so we were trying to catch it in the middle of us, and then it like darted in between us and then ended up like running around in front of us for ages while we were trying to catch it. It ended up running into the garden next door, and we chased it in there and it got away from us again, and then it went into the garden next door from that. At this point she was on one side of it, I was on the other, and she like threw the towel at it and it missed, but it used this opportunity to then dart across the road. And it's just this like one-winged bird just hopping around everywhere. But he ended up hopping down like the side of someone's house, and I was like, well, I'm not actually going to break into someone's house to save this bird now. I just felt bad for it because I live near a forest, so we get like a lot of foxes and stuff, like just besides like normal like house cats and stuff that people have, but we also get, like I say, a lot of foxes. So I was just worried about this bird getting eaten. and I just felt bad for it. But at this point, there was nothing I could do, and I ended up just going home. I've been back since to try and find it, and I can't find it anywhere, so it's probably died, which is a shame. But I just, really wanted to save it. I was going to bring it home, and, I have a bird feeder in my back garden, so I was going to, give it the bird feeder and just hope it stayed for a little bit until I could see if I could find someone to come and pick it up and, see if we could find a bird sanctuary for it or something. Couldn't do it in the end. It's just a shame. I've always thought crows and corvids in general were cool. We get a lot of them around here. Used to walk through a park on the way to school, and there was 30 or 40 crows just lived in that park. And they would just sit on the fields. It was just always that cool. So I've always really liked them. I actually have a model of a crow on one of my shelves above my computer. So a small part of me was at least trying to hope to catch this bird, because maybe then I could keep it as a pet. But I didn't think that would actually happen. But yeah, so there's my story of trying to save a bird and failing miserably. As for things that aren't about birds, I've been doing my Yakuza LP recently, and it's going well, but it's going to take forever to finish. To give you some idea, the day after I'm recording, episode 17 is about to come out, and I just finished recording episode 52, which at the current rate, I'm actually planning to increase the amount of episodes that come out over the next few months, and at the current rate, that's going to be around halfway through May. It is currently the 23rd of March. So I'm currently 6 or 7 weeks ahead of episodes. And it's just going to get further and further ahead. I did finally finish chapter 6 today. I'm now on chapter 7. Because I spent an awful lot of time doing all of Kiryu's business. I enjoyed Kiryu's business. Kiryu's business was good. I'm not as big a fan of Majima's business. Kiryu's business is very hands-off. You literally just pay to upgrade, set it up, and go. And what I was doing was, I was just running off and doing all of the, doing a sub-story, then coming back, doing more business, then going off and doing a sub-story, and then just doing that over and over again until I finished all of the business, which took a long time, but I enjoyed it the entire time. The issue with Majima's is that, it seems a lot more involved. A lot more of it is, it's literally you go in and play the host minigame. Not a big fan of that. I don't really care. The minigame itself isn't too bad, but I think the main thing that puts me off is the training at the start, where you have to have, a conversation with your hostess, or, take her on a date or something. I just don't really care. And I've also watched, a ridiculous amount of porn to get stuff through in this. All the videos at Ganhara. And I'm just, really uncomfortable doing that. It's just not a fun time for me. I think I've done all of it. I think I might actually have to do a little bit more of it just to get the completion point. I think there was one more completion point for watching 15. Hopefully there's not more after that. But hopefully at the very least I'm nearly done. I think I might have to watch a few more to get some of the other Mr. Libido friendship up. But I'm not totally sure about that. I might have a look and see if I can find out. Besides that, it's going pretty well. I mentioned earlier that I've been looking at doing more episodes of it per week. But I'm also thinking of streaming more. And the two would obviously kind of clash. So I've not really made a decision on both of those. So I'm actually planning on putting up I might have already done it by the time the episode comes out. Either it'll have already happened or it's just about to happen. I'm going to do a Patreon poll and just see if anyone has any ideas of how I can handle it. I was planning on doing more streams during the week, so I'd be streaming every day now. Well, not every day in the week and just leaving the weekends out. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays doing streams earlier in the day. Because that just worked better for me. It just frees up my night a little bit more, and it also means I don't have to rearrange my videos when they come out. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday videos will just come out on the normal times. But I was thinking of having a Yakuza episode on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like I do now. And maybe also doing them on Saturday and Sunday as well. And then doing a extra stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that'll be for one game. So what I mean by that is instead of... So I do a video and then a stream of that video. So I do this week, as of recording, my Shenzhen IO video just came out. So tomorrow I will stream that game. That's how it normally works. Instead of that, what I want to try and do is do streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays of the same game, and just do the same game on those 2 days every week. But I'm not totally sure yet. Because I kind of like it. I like streaming, but I'd like it if people came, and I think maybe if I'd change up my times a little bit, more people might come. That's the idea, at least. And maybe as well, if it's a more consistent game, people might like come just because they like that game. I'm not going to say what game it is right now, because I've not totally made the decisions yet. But I think other people will like it, and I'm interested in playing it more. So it'll be nice. Other than that, my Game of the Year 2020 video came out, which took a ridiculous amount of work. If we just look at editing and recording the audio and like writing the scripts and everything, it took somewhere around 25 hours. But seeing as every single game on that list is one that I've finished, except for like, I think 2 of my honourable mentions. So of the 20 games I talk about, 18 of them are finished, and then 2 of them I didn't finish. On average, at least those games took me probably about 7 to 10 hours. So that's 140 hours basically. But Cyberpunk is on that list, and that game alone took me 95. So you can see how some of these like times are going to be way bigger than that. So yeah, I spent a long time on that video, and I'm like pretty happy with how it came out. Originally, like I mentioned earlier, that my plans for this podcast kind of fell through. Originally, my plan for this podcast was I was going to get someone else on to talk about their Game of the Year for last year, and I would still like to do that, but obviously I haven't done that this time. So I'm going to try and get someone to record that next month and see what it is then. But if anyone wants to come on, let me know. I'll ask some people anyway, but maybe someone will say something first. I think other than that, there's no real changes coming through. Oh, actually, there is one. The last time I mentioned I will be doing stickers. I have done stickers. I have stickers now. Well, I say I have stickers now. They're on their way in the post to me. So, yeah, if people want stickers, let me know. I'm still kind of deciding on pricing. I'm thinking of doing like £5 for one sticker, which I realise sounds like a lot, but that's going to like include postage. And then just like £1 extra for every extra sticker. Right now it's all just one design, so you're not going to be getting tons, but maybe you want more than one. Or maybe you don't want one, but maybe you do. I would hope you do. So yeah, if you want stickers right now, just send me a message somewhere, probably on my email address, or send me a message on Discord, because most of the people who listen to this podcast know me from Discord anyway. So it's probably the easiest way, isn't it? So guess whose computer just crashed while I was recording? It was me. Or rather, it was mine. So yeah, luckily I didn't lose anything, really. I lost like a half of a sentence, which isn't really a big deal. But it's still really annoying. I like desperately need to get a new computer. I've been trying, but can't get any fucking parts. I can get some, but I can't get the parts I actually want. Like, I don't even want a new GPU right now. I just want a new CPU, but I preferably want to get a 5900X. And you just can't. It's just not a thing. I could get a 5800X, but I don't know. I like the idea of... I've currently got a 5820K, which is pretty old at this point. But the point is it's a 6-core 12-thread, and it's 3.3 gigahertz it runs at. I like the idea of doubling that. Like, obviously not doubling the speed, but going 12-core 24-thread, that sounds pretty good. And it runs faster as well. Like, it has a faster base clock. It's just better. So, like, I would like to do that. I could get a 5800X, like I said, because those are in stock at most places, so I could actually get one of those. But I just really like the idea of the 5900X. But it's getting to the point now where I can't stand to wait anymore. This will randomly freeze every now and again, and the only way of doing it is to just, like, pull the plug. Like, nothing functions after that. Like, it's weird, like, the screens don't exactly freeze, because I can actually still use the mouse, but every application hangs, and I can open the start menu, and that is, like, the only thing I can do. I can Control-Alt-Delete and tell it to shut down, but it doesn't. It won't log off, it won't go to the Switch user account section, it won't do anything. I think it might be a driver issue with my headphones, but the point is, I've had these headphones for a year and a half, and this issue has started happening in the last, like, 4 or 5 months. But also now, I had an issue the other day where my computer just wouldn't boot, and I had to turn XMP off, which says to me that it's the CPU degrading. Now, it might be both, but that's what I'm, like, kind of leaning towards now. Because, like, I was thinking, like, it was just, like, driver corruption at first, because, like, say, it seemed to track, like, an issue to my headphones. But that wouldn't stop it booting. So I'm leaning towards, like, actual CPU issues now. So, I could really do with getting something soon. But again, it's just, like, constantly trying to choose between these two CPUs, one of which I can buy but isn't quite what I want, or the one that barely exists but is what I want. Like, I just don't know which to go for. But it's quickly getting to the point where I can't afford to choose anymore. I'm just gonna have to get the one I can get. But yeah, that was kind of besides the point. It'd also be nice if I didn't spend a ridiculous amount of my time rendering videos. Like, I've been over this before, but like the Game of the Year video I was talking about before, that took, I think it was about 8 hours to render. It's a fucking 25-minute video, and it took 8 hours to render. Like, perhaps some of my issues there would be alleviated if I used a more up-to-date version of Premiere, but I have CS6, and I'm not paying for Creative Cloud, so the only way to really improve that is just brute force it. I also actually need more space on this as well. Like, I've got 24 terabytes as it is, but most of that is for my games and stuff. It's getting to the point where, like, I actually can't back up my videos anymore. Like, I've not been able to do a video backup since February. It's now most of the way through March, because my backup volume is 4 terabytes, and I have about 6 terabytes of videos and game work. Well, I'm going to need to get something bigger for that as well. Anyway, I was supposed to be doing my outro, so I'll do that now. Special thanks to my patrons for allowing me to make these things. You can join them over at my Patreon at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early and get exclusive roles in my Discord, along with other rewards I might think of in the future. You could also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon, along with my Discord, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode, as well as to both of my YouTube channels. Finally, you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you have anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons Heaven Over Hell, Justin Wood, Hobbs, Koopy Vegeta, Gunrunner, and Water.